back again today. Ichemeta right here. Thank you for watching so far. Thank you for liking. And thank you for all the feedbacks. It's been amazing taking this journey with you. Today, I want to talk about grace. I have discovered that grace has become the license to sin. I know, don't try to crucify me, but it's true. There was a period of time when it was all about grace. There were churches popping up on grace. There were teaching popping up on grace. And it was the perfect license to sin. I know, because during that period, I also fell into the pit of it. We all fell into fornication. We fell into all the vices we left before we got born again. We all went down this big rabbit hole and everybody was sinning. This was the thing. Whenever you met somebody sinning and you tried to talk to them, there was this answer we got. Don't bring condemnation on me. Don't bring condemnation on me. Grace has covered it all. Christ has paid all the sin. He has covered our sin, past, present, and future. We had it all worked out. Because before you talked, everybody was quoting Galatians 5:1-12. And it was the foundation for all what we did. But you know what? Was grace really a license to sin? Because you see, if we really went away from Galatians 5:1-12 and we went to verse 13, we discover that grace ain't got nothing to do with sin. Paul was saying, do we now sin because grace abound? But that wasn't what we're doing. We just had this thing of, because Christ has forgiven us our sin, past, present, and future, we're now sinning. It became a conscious effort. I heard stories of people who were having sex, getting pregnant, having abortion, and then they would pray about it, and then they would move on, and they would still going back to the lifestyle. You see, the truth of the whole thing is, as much as Christ got us covered, there was no reason to sin anymore. It didn't mean we could continue sinning. Look at David. David was the man after God's own heart. David had his ups and downs, but David was not consciously sinning. For every time David made a mistake, he consciously made sure never to go down that rabbit hole again. The only reason David slept with, forgetting what her name is, and killed her husband was because he was on the city wall, and the Bible wrote it. In the time where kings were at war, David was on the city wall. If he was where other kings were, he wouldn't have married somebody else's wife. For me, that is what I feel. The only time grace comes in is when we lack the strength to resist sin. Then grace helps us so that the devil can no longer condemn us. Like, for example, you see somebody who is a smoker and he needs to stop smoking, but he can't stop smoking. And then he goes like, Father, I need to stop smoking. I need to stop smoking. That's when he now relies on grace. As much as he's holding that stick of cigarettes, he's telling himself, grace, come true so that this cigarette no longer affects me. Not that he's smoking and going like, yeah, I can keep smoking. Grace got me covered. No, I'm not saying Jesus has not forgiven your sins, past, present, and future. I'm saying you cannot treat God like a fool. You can't keep sinning, going around fornicating, getting people pregnant, having abortions, doing all the different vices that your flesh got you longing for. And then telling yourself, grace got me covered. You can't wake up on the bed with a guy on a Saturday night to a Sunday morning and then climb the altar on a Sunday morning to fellowship and worship. It doesn't work like that. Are you treating God as a fool? No. Grace is not a license to sin. Don't get it twisted. I always tell people that one of my favorite books is The Screw Tape Letter by John C.L. Lewis. Because in that letter, you see it was a conversation between two demons. And the senior demon always tells the junior demon, your role is not to get born again to backslide, not to get them out of the church, not to get them out of the faith. It's to keep them in the church, keep them in the faith, but keep them sinning. So don't let the devil twist grace. Don't let him pervert the message of grace. The same man who teaches you about grace was the same man who condemned his flesh daily, who died to his flesh daily. Let's stop all this whole grace message of Jesus has forgiven you your sins, past, present, and future. Grace has got you covered. Let's stop perverting the message and keep dwelling in sin. Let's look at it. The only reason I'm saying Jesus has forgiven me my sin, past, present, and future, is because the devil cannot come telling me that, hey, Ichemeta, I know you. Ain't you the girl who was having sex before you got married? Ain't you the girl who got divorced? Ain't you the girl who did this, who did that? And I'll go like, hey, hold up there. I ain't that girl. That girl died long ago. This me here is a new girl. This me here is the one who Christ died for. This me right here is the one whose grace got me covered. So for whenever you come to me, reminding me of sin, trying to get me to sin, remember that I've got authority. I've got authority telling me that that old me is dead and gone. This new me is the one whose grace has redeemed from sin, whose grace keeps from sinning. So people, just reevaluate what grace is. Anyway, thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye.